Welcome to Boxing During Dinner, live from my rooftop in downtown Miami and Brickell. You guys are going to get a nice view of the skyline here tonight. Boxing During Dinner special edition. Armando is not with us tonight. Unfortunately, he's sick, and so send him your well wishes. He should be good as he heads off to Las Vegas this week for the Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Sergio Martinez middleweight unification bout. But before we get there and we talk about the fights coming up this weekend, let's talk about this past weekend. We had Andre Ward versus Chad Dawson on Boxing After Dark, which turned out to be a completely one-sided whitewashing for Andre Ward. Armando and I last week predicted that this was going to be a unanimous decision for Ward. What nobody expected was that this fight was going to end in knockout and that it would be in favor of Ward, who dropped Dawson 3 times on way to victory and basically had Dawson quitting as he rose to his feet in the 10th round for a TKO. Interesting storylines here is that Dawson established the fact that he was, again, the volume puncher who could connect with speed on occasion. The only round he really established that was in the first round, and even then it could be argued that he didn't set any kind of a tone. But from there on, there's very little argument to be made that Dawson won any round outside of the first round. And Andre Ward put on a spectacular performance from top to bottom. The guy remains the consummate professional who makes the most out of everything that he has. And Andre Ward boxed and defended, found inside and out openings. He kept Ward at Dawson at a distance on the outside when it was necessary, bodied up with combinations on the inside when it was necessary, and never really got caught with anything coming back. Ward continues to not just beat everybody put in front of him, and he's fighting elite level opposition, but he is dominating opponents from top to bottom to the point where I'm now willing to make this bold statement, and I said this on Facebook over the weekend, that Andre Ward is now the #1 pound-for-pound boxer in the world. Floyd Mayweather had his mantle, and Manny Pacquiao, I believe, has continued to decline for a while, but Floyd Mayweather has not been fighting the echelon of opponent that Andre Ward has, nor has he been defeating them in the same way that Andre Ward has either. Against the fight against Miguel Cotto, Mayweather certainly had his troubles, and for all that everyone knows I love Cotto, he is not the type of fighter that should be challenging a top pound-for-pound fighter in the way that he did. Andre Ward was thoroughly outclassing Chad Dawson from top to bottom, and he now is interesting to see who he's going to fight. There's very little left for him at 168. There's 175 where he could move up, but he just beat the top dog there. But there's still names like Tavoris Cloud and Jean Pascal if he should choose to go up there. But what remains to be seen, Ward deserves a little bit of a rest, even though he's only fought once this year. I don't expect him to come back before the year's out. Early 2013, it'll be interesting to see what he chooses to do. But what's got the boxing world abuzz now is what's coming this weekend, and we have 2 fights, one on Showtime Standard Television, and then the pay-per-view that are battling head-to-head. But the fights are pretty scintillating on their own. I would argue to say that Showtime has the better card here, but the less scintillating headlining affair. That's Canelo Alvarez versus Josecito Lopez for a WBC 154-pound title. As we know, Lopez is moving up in weight for the 2nd consecutive fight, and in this fight, it's going to be interesting to say that Lopez has not built out his frame the way that Canelo Alvarez has. I think this is going to be a unanimous decision for Alvarez, and what's going to be a really exciting fight. Lopez doesn't back down from anybody. If there's a fighter who can deliver fire, it's Victor Ortiz, and he walked through everything that Ortiz had just in order to get his punches in. Do know that Canelo Alvarez is going to feel Josecito Lopez throughout the night, but I don't think that at 154 pounds he's going to be able to feel the same effects that he was able to lay out on Victor Ortiz at 147 pounds. But on the undercard, there's also fights with Johnny Gonzalez and Daniel Ponce de Leon and Seth Mitchell. Then there's also the fight with Marcos Maidana and Jesus Soto Karass. This card may be very exciting to watch, but the fight to watch this weekend is a unification bout at middleweight between Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Sergio Martinez, a fighter who never lost his title in the ring, and he's knocked out his last 4 opponents. I'm excited for this fight for a number of reasons, and Armando and I have talked about this from top to bottom, what the storylines are. Sergio Martinez is 37 years old. He has shown a tendency to get caught a little bit more in his recent fights. Now, Matthew Macklin fought a great fight against him, but he was winning many of the rounds in the early going. There's an argument to be made that Sergio Martinez needed to push for that knockout at the end that he ultimately did get. Is Chavez the type of fighter who's going to finally catch Martinez in corners and wear him down with shots to the body? I don't think so. I think Chavez remains limited. Anybody who's been following 24/7 sees that there are still holes in the commitment that Chavez has to his craft. Sergio Martinez is beaming with a confidence that I've never seen from him, and perhaps it's always been there, but in this fight it seems as if he does not accept the notion that failure is an option here. In fact, so confident is he of his victory that he doesn't even think Chavez belongs in the same ring as him. And I would argue that Chavez is going to have his moments, as he does in all of his fights, that he usually wins, but Chavez has never fought anyone like Sergio Martinez. He puts his punches together, he wears guys down, he can attack to the body and elude incoming punches, and therefore take the sting off of what other guys are bringing in. I don't believe that Chavez has the conditioning to go 12 rounds with a guy like Martinez, and I think that this fight could stop late with cuts. I don't know that Chavez has the chin that's going to be dented by the power Martinez has, but I think this fight could end in the 10th or 11th round with cuts by Martinez just totally outclassing Chavez at that point. Interestingly enough, now there are a number of other storylines. Should Chavez somehow win this fight, would he go up to 168 as many have suspected? Is he a possible candidate for Andre Ward? And if Martinez wins, all of a sudden we have Gennady Golovkin, who's an exciting prospect at 160 pounds. Will we see that kind of fight? And then there's also, other guys. Miguel Cotto has said, should he defeat Austin Trout at 154 in December, that he might want to move up to 160. Similar weight and body size to Martinez. He's not totally undersized in that fight. That could be an interesting fight as well. Exciting times for boxing. We've got a lot of good fights that have just gone out of the way. Andre Ward maybe staking his claim at the top of the world's class, if you will, at pound for pound. Mayweather and Pacquiao still haven't chosen opponents for what's coming up, and then we have fights that are stacked this weekend and all through the rest of the month. What will happen? We'll be there to find out. Next week we'll be back at Randazzo's. Armando will hopefully be healed. He's headed off to Las Vegas, sickness and all, to cover the fights. He'll be there for Chavez, Martinez, and we will be back. Check us out on Twitter, boxingduringdinner.com. We're on Facebook, and always stay in touch with us. We'll be here for Boxing During a Dinner next week.